We'll get started with Sarah Spencer.
Hey, Lloyd. I think you know me, but Sarah with the AJC. How did today go with it being the first kind of in-person team activity you guys have been able to do in such a long time?
It was good. I think right from the start, the beauty of today was in the first drill. The energy, excitement, a lot of smiles, a lot of energy. We were playing 5-on-5 within the first 15 minutes of practice. So, that was by design. The one thing that was taken away from us was the ability to compete and the ability to play 5-on-5 on a regular basis. So we didn't want to prolong that aspect of practice. And it was great. We've got 5 G League guys, 6 really if you include Charlie Brown. And, we had Scal on that team as well. And so we just basically right from the start divided our guys that are under contract with the guys that are, our invited guests, our G League guys and Scal as of now. And, we made our guys play defense. So it just wanted to really focus on competing. We wanted to change it up. You don't normally get right into 5-on-5 as early, but great energy. It's great seeing the guys out there. Excited for them, excited for their ability to just connect for a couple weeks.
To follow up, you mentioned the energy. Could you tell that the guys were eager to get out there, kind of chomping at the bit to go do something?
We've never done a layup drill with such intensity. We did full court layup drills and the guys are clapping and cheering. So it's just, it goes to show we haven't practiced in a long time if they're excited about doing layup drills.
Thank you.
All right, next question from Jamila.
Hey, Coach, how are you? Jamila Johnson with HawksFans.com. So I know you guys are just kind of getting everything started, but when I spoke to you before about DeAndre Hunter, and even speaking to DeAndre, he talked about how he wanted to be more aggressive, he wanted to be more vocal. Have you been able to see any of that, and have you been able to see any of that from other players as far as being more vocal and kind of voicing their opinions on things?
Yeah, typically in an off season, guys get away from it, especially after your first year. There's a huge growth. I think comfort level and professionally, when you finish a season, you get away from it, you know what to expect. One of the things we talked about with DeAndre and Cam, them trying to figure out the second night of a back-to-back. I think, when you've played a season, you now know it, you get it, you understand it. Well, we've been away from the game for a while now. And so I think their reactions to, the game's been taken away. How can I stay in shape? How can I get better? DeAndre spent a lot of time in Atlanta with our coaching staff. He spent some time in Virginia. He spent some time in LA. You get to breathe a little bit. You're not a rookie. You've played some games. You got it under your belt. But I think that also helps him socially and personally as well. Like, he knows who we are. He knows who his teammates are. And he feels that comfort. So you get to see him communicate a lot more. I think he's been really good, taking care of his body, staying in the gym, communicating with our staff, everything you want out of a professional. And I think we all kind of agree that DeAndre is one of the, as a young player, one of the true professionals in how he approaches everything.
Next question from Terrel Thomas.
Good afternoon, Coach. Terrel Thomas, These Urban Times. My question is a little bit more off the court. We've seen you before MiniCamp started, of course, being extremely active in everything that's been taking place in our world as far as getting cats to register to vote, to educate themselves on voting. We also seen you out marching and protesting with Atlantans here and just looking for change and looking for justice. Not too long ago, about 1:30 p.m., we got a little more information about the case involving the death of Ms. Breonna Taylor and how officers will and will not be indicted in the upcoming case. Could I just get your opinion on everything that's kind of transpired in the last hour or so?
Yeah, I think it's just a testament to why people are marching, protesting, fighting, why the importance of the election has increased. It's just frustration. I don't pretend to be an expert of the law, and I don't pretend to be an expert of the legal system in every state. What I do know and understand is whatever the law is and whatever is protecting this case and many other cases, it's hard to comprehend. It's hard to understand. It's hard to understand that if this is protection, then we have a real problem. And so I think people are protesting because there was an anticipation that this wasn't going to go down the way it should have in terms of the officers being held accountable. And it's been proven with that news today. And so, yeah, there was a grand jury, and yeah, they went through the information, and yeah, they have facts to support whatever the claims may be. But that doesn't provide any justice for those that are on the outside, for those that feel like the police and law enforcement are there to protect them, regardless of what state and regardless of what the laws. And that's what the fight is about. And so everything I've done up to this point, you know, I don't pretend to be anything I'm not. I just understand that there is a scary position that I'm in, that I think a lot of people are in our country, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's anything else. And knowing that what currently is happening isn't good enough, and trying to figure out, you know, what do we need to do to address that is really my focus. Whether it's helping people here in the city of Atlanta, whether it's working with the organizations that I'm working with, it's really about changing what is not working for us, not working for our communities, not working for us with our rights, and trying to gain understanding of that. And I've tried to commit my time to just gaining more understanding about what I can do to help others as well.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Next question from Zach Klein.
Hey, Coach, I know I speak for everybody here that we appreciate what you're doing in the community, so thank you. The transition now to the bonding that Travis was talking about on the call earlier in the week. Says you guys can maybe get together, watch some games, and you got any fun things planned? Maybe some ping pong, some pool, and I guess who would be the one seed in the ping pong tournament if you guys were to have something like that?
I don't know. You know, we got all kind of stuff here. It's almost probably too much. There's no way we're going to do all the activities we have here in this hotel. They've done a tremendous job. I think Travis and Dan Martinez and Zach and Chelsea, all the people that have been behind the scenes doing the logistics of organizing this, have done a tremendous job. My room is right next to the pool. Dan's out there putting the floaties in the water and all the other things. There's a lot of guys eating lunch. We're going to celebrate John's birthday tonight at 7 with a little bit of I think we have a sommelier coming or something, or someone's providing wine for us, something of that extent. We watched the game last night out at the outdoor rooftop that we have here. We had Good Trouble. We watched Good Trouble, John Lewis's Good Trouble, and had a really good discussion with the guys on a lot of things. Talked about you know, Justice Ginsburg and her passing, and how she was connected to John Lewis with the 15th Amendment and the Voting Rights Act in 2013 when that was removed. Just try to educate the guys on why voting is important, and how those two figures who we've lost, amongst others, were very instrumental in regards to voting and equality and gender equality, and just showing our guys about being champion of people, and how Atlanta really represents that, and how they represent that. And so while we're here, we wanted to tie in the messaging of what they fought their lives for and committed their lives for. That's why it's important for us that while we're here, we get to know each other a little bit better. We show our compassion. We commit to one another. We'll figure out, these guys are young, they'll figure out, you know, their off the court duties in due time. You know, I'm going to do what I need to do. It isn't my job to force anything upon them, but my job is to continually educate them about what's going on in the world, to help them get better on the court, and then they can figure out what they need to do from there. And that's why we're here. We're going to maximize our opportunities here over the next 2 weeks on the court, and we got a great day today, and we're going to maximize our opportunities off the court with some of the excursions. I think we have a paintball thing coming up. I think we're heading to Porsche at some point to drive some of the cars, some arcade stuff, whatever it is. We'll be plenty busy.
So now all the guys who ever wanted to take a little paintball and get after you, get some payback, they get their chance right now. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I know. I think Travis was the one that told everybody he's a good shot. So maybe I did something wrong to him, but he he let everybody know he grew up in Kansas and he's a good shot. So I haven't been out in the woods for various reasons, and that's why I'm probably not going to participate unless I have to.
Thank you.
All right, next question from Chris Kirshner.
Hey, Lloyd. In terms of evaluations, obviously 2 weeks isn't a lot of time. So what are you exactly looking for in these couple of weeks?
I told the guys last night, there's a lot of things that we have to address. We're not addressing all of those things in 2 weeks. And so for me, it was competition, commitment, and care. We want to compete. That's really all we wanted to focus on. I don't care what we do. I don't care if it's one-on-one. I don't care if it's a shooting competition. Just get in that competitive spirit. You see guys in the offseason go play 5-on-5. You guys saw that video of DeAndre Hunter in LA a couple weeks ago. There was not one lick of defense on the court. And so I don't get competition out of that when I watch it, and I want our guys to compete. And today it was nasty. We played in the half court a lot of fouls, hard to really execute anything, but the guys were competing at a high level. And, it wasn't about us being organized and trying to run sets, just trying to put them in a situation where they can compete. The commitment side is really just about us working on some different things. We didn't know pick and rolls today. We didn't play out a pick and roll and just committing to one another. How do you get another guy open? How do you set screens? How do you do different movement off the basketball? How do you play in different spots so you can talk your way through it? That commitment to each other is a main focus for us in these 2 weeks. And then the care part, Travis talked about bonding as a team. When you bond, you get to know your teammates, you get to know each other a little bit more. I don't like the term family when you really aren't family. And family comes from a lot of different places, but it's the bonds that you have. It's connections that you have. We have to connect. Having Clint here is extremely important from a connection standpoint. Forget the basketball. We get to know what he's like on the court. We get to hear his voice, and then we also get to hang out with him off the court. So those are the three main areas of focus. There's nothing real technical in there. We're going to try and get some stuff on film. We're going to try and, do some things that we don't normally do on the court. But that's kind of the bottom portion of why we're here. Competing is at the top, and connecting is in there as well.
As a follow-up, you just mentioned Clint, but he hasn't played 5-on-5 since late January. How did he look? Were there any limitations as far as what he can do on the court?
My guess is all of these guys have played 5-on-5 at some point. I don't care to know where or when, but I know most of them have. And so he's been working for a long time. We've had guys in Atlanta over the past couple months, and they've been working. So we've seen Clint. He's been in good shape. He's been moving well for a couple months, couple weeks now. He was fine. You see some of the subtle things that you don't have to worry about. Like, he had a great box out today that, defensive rebound was a big issue for us. And he just knows how to do it. He knows how to hold off one guy with one arm and go get it with the other. Really simple things that, you can't teach. You want your guards and your wings to come back in and rebound, but you also want your one-on-one big to take out the other one-on-one big and really secure the possession, secure the rebound on your defensive side. And he showed a couple of those possessions that instantly you look down there and you're like, we'll be all right there. Trying to put him in different spots is going to be interesting over the next couple of days. He's a pick and roll big. We're not doing any pick and roll the first two days, I believe. And so you try and see, well, what else can you do with Clint? Let's try some of these things out. But, the thing I know about Clint, when you start moving, he's good. When you start running, he's good. And we'll see a lot more of that as the week goes on.
Next question from Emmanuel.
Hey, Coach, I know at a period of time back in March, you had got the team to a particular point. And I know since it's been a while since, during the pandemic and all that, what do you want to work on to get the team – you can't get them to that point, but as close as possible. You talked a lot about camaraderie, getting them together and doing some things about that. But what are some of the things that you like to put in place? You can't do it in 2 weeks, but as the practice and season goes on, what do you try to do to get them as close as possible where you were in March?
It's really not a goal. One of the weird thoughts in my head right now is, when is the season going to start? And then when do we kind of backtrack off of our guys, bring them back a little bit? John Collins has been in our gym since May 8th, faithfully, every single day, with the exception of like a day off here or a day off there. But every individual workout that we've been able to have, he's been in there every week. We've had to force some days off, which means he's in great shape. He's in really good shape. And all these guys are, but he's in really good shape because he's done so much since May 8th. And then at some point they're going to say the season's starting. And then you have to worry about, well, shit, is he in too good of shape? And when will he hit a wall because he's been going for so long? And so I think it's not for us to say we want to be in tip-top shape by the time this camp ends. We want to be very mindful of what we're doing. That's why we didn't go full court 5-on-5 today. We don't want to leave this camp with injuries. We don't want to leave this camp with guys. We want to come back tomorrow and feel fresh, not beat down because today was the first day. So I think you got to balance. If you try and go through a mini camp for 2 weeks and you lay out a long list of items of what you want to accomplish, you're going to run into a brick wall. You're going to try and overdo it. And I'm very mindful of that. Again, it's just about us competing. It's about us getting some chemistry and bonding. It's about us getting a couple things on tape that we can look at, but we don't want to overdo it. And so I don't have any plans for us being near season shape or, near season execution. I just want our guys to compete and be able to work out together because that was taken away from them for a long time now.
And follow up to that real quick is, what are some of the things that you worked on personally throughout this time? I know you talked about the things you were doing off the court, but some of the things that you were working on.
Man, I could write a book. No, and I mean that. I think this has been. I've spoken to you guys all for 2 years now, and in a lot of ways, you guys have gotten to know me, and why I really try and go out of my way to explain all of my answers, whether you like it or not, or whether I disagree with how you print it, or whatever the case may be. I've tried to be thoughtful to you guys because there's a bigger picture to everything that we do. It isn't about last night's game. It isn't about that play. When you have young players, education is extremely important. Not skipping steps is extremely important. Patience is extremely important. And some things we're just not ready for. Some things as a coach I may not be ready for. As a second-year head coach, you got to blow a call every once in a while. I mean, it's just part of the deal. We're seeing guys in the finals right now blowing calls because they're still trying to navigate through situations they weren't prepared for. That Denver screw up at the end of the game the other night, you would think that you'd have that down. Every situation is different. I don't know if you guys realize it, but Denver screwed that up in the seeding games, and Kuzma hit a 3. So you never quite get it right. You play the same team and make different mistakes. And so for our guys and for myself, this offseason has been a tremendous growth opportunity for me. And I'm just speaking specifically about leadership. I thought I was into a leadership position as the head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. This is a different leadership position I've been called upon in the offseason. I've done way more interviews. I've done way more speaking engagements. I've spoken to every head coach, more so than I've done in my 13-year career in the last 3 months. And, it's been interesting. It's been really interesting response, the reaction, some of the commentary, good and bad. So I think, working on yourself and understanding like what your ultimate purpose is. One day, the Atlanta Hawks will say, we're going to move on. Nothing changes with me now. I have a different sense of purpose about what leadership really looks like. And, you're charged with something that's greater than yourself and you embrace that. That's leadership. How do you get your guys to understand that and buy into it? That's what I'm working on. And I think I couldn't have provided a better example of leadership than what I've done off the court this offseason. And I think that's truly been the greatest way for me to connect with our guys coming into this minicamp.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question from Jamila.
Coach, this is more of a logistics type question. What went into building this roster? I know you said some of the guys were G League guys, but how did you kind of create?
I think that, and I'm not 100% sure. It's not mandatory. We'll start there. Current roster, guys that are signed on your team. It's voluntary for any free agents that were with us. And then we were able to get up to 5 G League players and our two-way players. And Charlie Brown being our only two-way player, we have, the 9 guys under contract, and Scal was with us and is a free agent, and he opted to do so. And then we brought on 5 of our G League players that were on our, I believe, our College Park team last year.
Next question from Sarah.
Lloyd mentioned Scal. Is he healthy, and how's he looking?
Yeah, he was actually really good today. Instantly you see a guy. I mean, I mentioned that, it's sloppy, it's hectic, there's fouling, physical, a lot of energy. We were playing a lot of elbow stuff, playing through the elbow and using our bigs as facilitators a little bit. And he's a guy that, wasn't rushed. He's very poised. He's a very skilled player, and he played at his own pace, and it was good to see. And he's been healthy for a long time. That's one of the unfortunate things. He's been healthy for a long time. He's been wanting to play. It's been a great off season for him, and he looked good today.
Paul Newberry. I think you're muted, Paul.
Okay. Is that better? Can you hear me now? There you go. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I just wanted to ask, with, I guess, the commissioner saying what season's not going to begin till January, I believe is what they were talking about the other day. What's it going to be like to try to navigate that, to go 10 months or so without playing a game?
Well, I've got 6.5 months of experience already. I think really for me, I'm looking at the other way. We're down the home stretch. This has been, I think our guys, I think anybody that's been in this situation, we've been in it the most. The 8 teams that didn't go to Orlando at all, so we've been in this situation and learned how to navigate through it. Our guys have been here, and they've also gone other places and worked out with some of their guys. I think we'll be fine. There's nothing we can do about what we missed or what we didn't get. And we know how to navigate through what we've been given. And that's why our energy was great today, because the guys are going to take advantage of this and they're going to maximize this. And then when we leave here, they're going to get right back to the same schedule that we had before until something else is given to us. So, again, my greatest concern is, at what point do we say, let's take a break before we build back up, knowing that when we build back up, we're going full steam. And you have to be very mindful of that. I know we've missed a lot of basketball, but we can't just say, hey, we're going to get it all back, and the season is off schedule and we're just going to be in shape, every single day of the year. You got to take some time off, and guys will be fine. After we leave here, we're mandated to take 2 weeks off completely. So none of our players will be in Atlanta working out at our facility when we end this MiniCamp, at least for 2 weeks. That is mandated by the NBA, and I think it's a great rule. I think it's a great opportunity for our guys to take advantage of this, knowing they've got a great break coming up.
All right, next question from Kevin Chenard.
You talked about leadership from your side a minute ago. What do you expect from the player side of leadership, given that you've got a camp roster where I think the player with the most experience is Clint Capella?
It's going to be this week is not so much about leadership. I think one of the things we won't worry about too much is energy. The guys are excited. They're here. They're going to provide the leadership of example just by being on the court. I told Trey today, I said, just lead with your spirit. For you to be here, the best thing you can do is have a great energy and spirit about you. And this will be a growing path for him as a leader. He still has to navigate through a lot of things, but he's our best player. And eventually he's going to be our sole leader. Even if we get some veterans and some free agents in here, you know, we go as Trey goes. And so I think the best thing he can offer is his spirit. I think the best thing he can offer is his enthusiasm for the game, because those are the things that are contagious. Those are the things that can spread. And when everyone sees that our best player, which is Trae Young, really jumps out with an enthusiasm and a spirit and an energy, we're going to have a lot of fun. And he's done that, and he was doing that today. But I think all of our guys, you know, John's birthday, we get to celebrate him. He's our longest tenured Hawk right now. How about that? And, you know, we're going to celebrate his birthday, which symbolizes him getting older. A lot of changes for him over the summer. And so I just think all of them provide leadership in different ways, but collectively we're just focused on being really good and bonding during these 2 weeks, and then we'll move to the next phases when we come back as a team again.
All right. Next question from Mark Medina, USA Today.
Hey, Lloyd. Mark Medina here, USA Today. Good to see you, and hope you're hanging in there. Back to off the court, in light of the Breonna Taylor ruling today, in your view, what do you think it's going to take, and what reforms do you think need to be implemented so it gets to the point that, you know, police are held accountable when they shoot or kill unarmed Black people?
Again, I think there's a number of issues with police accountability, and I'll just stay there. You know, I've tried to speak to as many experts in the field of law enforcement as I can. And the more you speak to experts in the field of law enforcement, the more you realize how complicated the Bill of Rights for police officers are, the Fraternal Order of Police, the Bill of Rights, and how it's all, you know, in terms of accountability, how difficult it is. Our guy here, Vince, you know, he and I have conversations all the time. He texted me a couple things this morning. And he says, well, that's tricky. Every time you ask him something, well, that's tricky. And so it's, you know, you hear the word defunding, you hear the word reinvesting or reallocating, whatever term you want to use. Our current structure is frustrating when you're not in law enforcement. And that's what we're seeing right now. And so, yeah, I'm with a lot of people that say we do need to defund. I'm with a lot of people that say we do need to reallocate. I'm with a lot of people that say we do need to reinvest. I don't know the proper term. I don't know the proper means. I don't know how that all plays out, and I don't want to pretend as if I do. I just know what we're seeing right now is really frustrating in terms of holding law enforcement accountability while also honoring their duty and responsibility to try and protect and serve our community. It's a hard thing. It's nothing I can give you an answer to. I just know it's frustrating, and it's really struggling right now to coexist in how we police our communities.
All right, we've got three more. The first one back to Terrell.
Coach, on a lighter note, something that may have brought you a little bit of joy a few weeks ago, a gentleman that you know extremely well joined your fraternity as being an NBA coach. Steve Nash has become the new coach of the Brooklyn Nets, of course. What were your thoughts on that? And have you given him any advice on, you know, going from a guard, a player in the NBA to actually being a coach and coaching two superstars? Of course, we have a superstar in the rising in Trae Young, so you're familiar with that role, and him having to coach two superstars in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
Well, hopefully I get to beat him in something. Shit, finally. No, I'm really excited for him. He and I had a long conversation a couple Saturdays ago when things started to calm down for him. He knows he's in over his head right now, trying to figure staffing out and connect with his players and figure out systems and things like that. But he's excited. He's really excited. His family has already moved to New York. You know, he was out buying books for his kids as we were talking. But there's not a person I would have thought ahead of him would be better suited for a head coaching job as a former player in this league that I've known. He is the most ideal candidate to jump right into it. He's smart. He's had a storied career, Hall of Fame career. He's passionate about the sport. He's passionate about sport in general. And anyone that's ever been connected to him will tell you the same thing. He is the ultimate teammate. He is the ultimate leader. He is the ultimate person and friend that you can have. And so he has all of the makings of being a tremendous coach, and he has an unbelievable opportunity to do so in Brooklyn. So I'm excited for him. I know it was a struggle. I know there's been a lot of commentary on how he got there, but I think any of us that's on this call right now would say, hey, if you had to hire a former player as a coach, name top 5 that you would add, he would be on that list.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll go to Rashad Milligan.
Hey, Coach, Rashad Milligan from the Peachtree Hoops. I almost forgot who I work with. My question for you, a few weeks ago, Dominique Wilkins, he uploaded the video of him, he raised that legal fund for those with special needs and, to get that defense fund. And you were in the video where, they kind of presented it to his mom, one of the client's moms. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And you saw her emotion there in that moment, just how were you feeling to see the mother's reaction in real time?
Well, it's a really tough situation that their family is going through with the son being incarcerated. I'll speak more to Dominique because he and I have really connected during the off season. He's involved with Culture City, and that whole meeting was for and through Culture City. That's how he connected. He's done a lot of really special things through Culture City for families and kids with autism and special needs and different needs. And he's connected with me on, really just how I can help. I try to help out on the dunk challenge that he had going, which was really encouraging to see how many people got involved in that and how much money he was able to raise from that. And so I told him from day one, anything he needs from me, just reach out. And if I'm going to say that, I need to honor it. And he's done so. He's reached out and we've connected. And I think he's done a tremendous job with Culture City on connecting with families and connecting with the organization on ways they can raise awareness and raise funds and really just try and fight for a lot of disability rights and a lot of families that are in need. And so that's really what that was. The reaction was because of what they're going through. And I think understanding their story up in Virginia with the son and the accident and the incarceration, it's just a mother fighting for her son. And that's really what it was about. And Dominique just wanted to help.
All right. For our last question, we have Chris Kirshner.
I have 2 questions. One, Dwayne is the only guy under contract who's not on the training camp roster. Why isn't he there? And 2, do you see Clint's role with you guys being similar to what he was doing with Houston prior to this season?
Yeah, I mean, again, I started out, this is all voluntary. And so, Dwayne's been out in California with his family and dealing with, just trying to get himself ready. So no knock on Dwayne at all. Clint, with regards to us, it's our ability and it's our responsibility to figure out, how and where we can use Clint and maximize his ability. He's done something special in his career. He's a very efficient finisher around the basket. He's a very efficient transition player in the open court. He does a tremendous job. He has done a tremendous job in pick and rolls, namely with James Harden, because that's who he spent most of his career with. And so we don't have James Harden. So we have to figure out what he and Trey look like, and we have to figure out what he and John look like, and we have to figure out what he and Cam look like. We have to figure out where else we can use him behind the basket. And then same thing defensively. I think part of the reason why he's here is they decided to go a different direction in their style of play. And so we have to figure out what we're doing on the defensive end and where his strengths are. He's a great defensive rebounder. He's done a pretty good job of rim protection. We're not going to switch as much as Houston did. And so in those moments where we're not, we have to figure out, what coverages work best for him and what we're trying to do. some of the things that he likes to do. One of the things I'll say is he's done a tremendous job talking about defense. We had an individual session a couple weeks back, and he asked me a question, and next thing you know, 40 minutes later, we've gone over about 5 or 6 different scenarios on the defensive end, talking about, well, how can we defend this, or what should we do? And, one thing that he does a tremendous job is say, hey, the biggest thing you can do is just talk and honor the talk. And I think that's the absolute truth. It isn't schemes. I tell you guys that all the time. You can have the greatest schemes in the world and then take it to a different teams, and those schemes don't work. It really isn't the schemes. It's the effort. It's the commitment. It's the ability to work as a unit. And I love the fact that he really is empowering the voice more so than the coverage. And that's going to be tremendous for us moving forward. You guys think I'm a shitty defensive coach, and I'm doing the same thing. It's about defense. Nothing has changed. You just have to adapt to your team. You have to adapt to your personnel, and you've got to figure out how to get these guys to adapt to each other. It takes time. It just takes time. And even with Clint, as much as he uses his voice, he's still got to get used to who he's talking to and how they respond and react to him. And they've got to get used to talking to him and what they want for him to do. This is the beauty of these weeks, these 2 weeks that we have, is they're just going to get to talk to each other. They're going to get to be around each other, and they're going to get something out of that. And then we'll come back with a little bit of a head start on, the next camp. We can move forward on some other things and tighten up, or we can say, hey, some of the things we did in that mini camp that we tried, I don't like it. Some things we did today that I can easily say, I didn't really like that already. And that's fine. That's kind of what it's for.